Big tariff news coming up tomorrow. It's going to cause chaos in the markets. We've got BTC levels hitting for you guys right now. Are they going to hold? And we've got tons of setups here on these altcoins, guys. It's a banger show here. Let's go. And remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. I'm super pumped today. I've even put the gold hat on because our win entries have just absolutely exploded. Okay, but we're going to talk about that now. Yes, James, Mr. 𝗵𝗆𝗏 still going red. Okay, very interesting. Quick take on the market.
Yeah, I think that this is just a nice little relief pump, but we're going to get some de-risking before that Supreme Court decision tomorrow. So I'm staying red for now. Yeah,
okay,
I caught the pump, but I'm taking profit. I'm not holding it. Of course he
caught the pump. Okay, we're going to take some profit here, guys. Panda's in the house. Look at this. He was dancing in the background. Look at this guy. He's so smug at the moment. Quick market update from you. You trust it or you don't trust it?
Not convinced, as usual. Not convinced, no.
Okay, we're going to bring Panda back. He's obviously loading up some shorts. We got a nice bounce in the market. Is this an opportunity? Catch a couple of shorts here on these alts, maybe add to some of the shorts from 2 days ago and ride this fear into this tariff Supreme Court situation. Okay, let's go. Banter bubbles. Wow. Look at that. A round of applause to everybody who hung on to TAO, especially the hackers members yesterday. This was our win entry, and this was an absolute cooker. And I actually want to show you guys this one because I want to close it now. We got to lock in some of these profits. In fact, let's ask James. I must close how much? Half.
50%. Yeah, that's reasonable.
Okay, you're not bullish enough. Panda, how much am I closing?
You should close all of it because I didn't get stopped out and I'm not salty. So I'm so happy for you. So happy for it.
I'm closing this. I'm going to close it. Fucking hell. I'm going to close it. Let's close this thing. Okay, so 𝗏𝗏𝗏, remember, guys, in the Chart Hackers Discord, we do a win entry. And that is a high conviction setup from me with entry, stop loss, take profits, those types of things. And there you can see 𝗏𝗏𝗏, $3,300. Okay, so let's close that thing right now. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, 3,400. Why is it lagging? Okay, don't lag like this. Come, don't ruin my day. Okay, we're going to try. Well, it must do what it must do. Yeah, it seems to be stuck at the moment. I mean, this is terrible timing. Okay, let's get into BTC. Let's see what the market is giving us at the moment. When Panda's talking, I'm going to have to frantically close that position there in the background. I don't know what's going on. Okay, BTC, what happened? So yesterday I spoke about a bigger macro zone. What I did was just zoom out a little bit because there was pressure on that 4-hour oscillator, and I was looking for a little bit lower. So that has obviously given us this bounce zone, this entry zone here, 89.5 that we were looking at, and even that backup zone there on that fib at 88.3 coming into play now. Now, interestingly enough, here we've got 2-hour bullish divergence printing on BTC, but this doesn't mean we can't go back for a double dip. It doesn't mean we can't go back for another retest into that zone, even a tap onto that 618. So I just want you guys to be cautious here. Anybody that is sitting long at the moment, just remember, this is on the table. Why is this obviously on the table for us? Well, we've got big Supreme Court news tomorrow. There's a court case happening regarding these tariffs. Now, obviously, if the Supreme Court rules against Trump, there's going to have to be a debate on a tariff refund and things like that, and that can obviously affect the market. So it's going to be big news that we're going to be tracking. This just might be a little squeeze or whatever the story is, but right now, big levels for me, 89.5 and 88.300. These are the big ones now leading into tomorrow. Obviously want to see some of these hold for us, that we can go a little bit higher, but again, be prepped in case we have to go lower. Okay, now upside levels that you want to watch, you can see 90,800 is the existing resistance, 90,800 over there, and then we've got a 618 which could be a potential target for this 2-hour bullish divergence at 92,600. Okay, so if we get a bit of momentum here, again, I don't believe that this is something that's going to send us, back to the moon printing new highs. I think that could be a reasonable exit zone there, 92.6, if things do start pumping a little bit harder. Okay, so there you go. There's BTC. Let's jump into, and frankly, quite a lot of news at the moment. So let's start with some lickies here. Let's see what's going on. Another day, 400 million in the house every single day. 400 million, 400 million, 400 million. James, I mean, it was not even a year ago. It was 70 million a day, and we were like, geez, this is relatively boring. Now we had 400 million. Okay, so there's non-stop action and a lot of chop happening in the market, obviously. But the big news today, there's two. Obviously, it's ZCash, and you can see the ZCash has woke up to a little bit of pain this morning, especially those that bought the top. Who's enjoying? If you bought the top on leverage, it's worse. If you shorted it, it's great. Okay, DJ and Dave actually gave that short in the Sunday banger in the hackers Discord. So hopefully some of the hackers got that short from us. But ZCash is feeling a little bit of pain today. But don't worry, Jim Cramer says investors should avoid buying stocks. So that's relatively bullish, I would assume. And I've got James nodding in the back there. He's pretty confident that that's a bull sign from the big boy. Now, here's the big news on the Supreme Court. Okay, market risk mounts as Supreme Court weighs Trump's emergency tariff powers. Now, this is getting heard tomorrow. And the interesting thing is, like, are we going to get a decision tomorrow? James, I don't know. You got commentary on do we have a confirmation that we're getting a decision? What's the play here?
I don't think there's any confirmation there'll be a decision. Everyone's talking like that, but there's no guarantee a decision's made. It's the first hearing. They may just present the facts and that's it. It could be a total nothing burger. But yeah, if they do make a decision, and I mean the Kalshi markets and poly market, all of them are showing that they think that they're going to strike this down, at which point, and there's varying numbers floating out there, $300-400 billion that are going to have to be repaid by the US government to anyone that paid the tariffs. It's a huge impact. It's going to be volatile like crazy everywhere. And I read some conflicting reports on how people think this will affect the market ultimately, but it doesn't matter. Tomorrow, it'll just be insane up and down, regardless of how it ends up in the future.
Yeah, and I think at one point we were looking, the Supreme Court had until July, I think, to make the decision, if I'm not mistaken. It was something like that. So you might see a situation, postponements and stuff like that. So there's a lot of hype here on Twitter about it, but is it actually that important right now? Interestingly, more than 1,000 companies, including Costco and Goodyear, have jumped into the legal fight for these tariff refunds. So there's the big guys getting behind this stuff.
They did that because there's a deadline. They had to file those lawsuits preemptively because they knew when the decision was potentially going to be made and their statute of limitations would have been up. So they had to file the lawsuit early. They can retract it later. But if they hadn't filed it now and this is ruled against, they couldn't actually get the refund. So they had to do that all up front.
Well, there you go. And if you want to see what Trump's argument is, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 has written a little bit of a long story here. I'm not going to read it, but there you go. Everything's resting on the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States. Okay, so there's a little reading if you want to go see what he has to say. I'm more interested in Kalshi markets and taking a position here. Will a court order a tariff refund? Okay, so even odds at the moment. It looks like we could get a decent result here if we stick in 100 here. Let's see what they get. It's 193 payout. Okay, if the court orders a tariff refund, do you think it's possible? I'm going no.
No? Okay. I mean, I don't think they have a choice. If they rule against him, the refund's automatic. But I know he's already got backup lawsuits set and other avenues to try and get the tariffs put back in place. I don't know how that would work. Do they keep the tariffs till that's sorted out or what? But
before July 26, I'm saying no. Okay, so I reckon they're going to kick this can down the road for a long time. Okay, so I'm going to cover myself there on Kalshi markets. Guys, Americans, you guys can play Kalshi with me. There's a link in the show description if you want to have a crack on this Kalshi and have some fun. Now, President Trump says Venezuela will only be purchasing American-made products with oil money made from a new oil deal. Why is he saying it's a deal? A deal when he's telling them what to do with their money? I don't know.
It doesn't sound like a deal to me, but I know that the acting president there now, who was the VP, hasn't been confirmed because there was all this talk that this was a, illegitimate election, that she could get recognized publicly by the US, at which point she solidified her power. So I think she'll do whatever the hell he wants to try and get that position. Yeah. So
yeah,
maybe that's the deal.
But he's calling it a deal. Now, I mean, it's a bully deal because he's basically
you're giving me your oil and I'm selling it.
Yeah, we literally taking your oil. You can't do anything about it, and you're gonna buy American products, and that's just the way it's gonna be. And I don't know, it doesn't feel great to me. But again, not a political show, so again, it doesn't matter. But yeah, Trump wants to lower oil prices to $50 a barrel. Now, somebody looks like he likes a bit of oil there. What do you think about $50 a barrel there, Mr. Panda?
Why not? I mean, it's more freedom.
It sounds like more freedom. Okay, so now they're talking $50 a barrel for oil. That's kind of in line with the macro 618. Maybe Uncle Donald is watching the chart hackers every day. Maybe he's actually in our Discord. You never know. Maybe he's a bit of a filthy degen and he's looking at our 618 saying, oh, well, let's go $50. Okay, so maybe he's actually in the chart hackers right now under pseudonym. Now, let's see what else is cooking here. One more bit of news. Trump is going after the U.S. Housing market. Trump just announced he's banning a single-family home purchase by institutional investors. I think that's pretty cool. Again, this is not a political show. Oh, wait, is it? Come back.
It's fantastic news. The problem is it's a little too little, a little too late. The corporations have gone and bought massive amounts of real estate, and it's driven the prices up like crazy.
Yeah.
But I saw a report on this, on what percentage of homes they're actively buying now, because this only stops new purchases. It doesn't go back against all the others. Of course, they already own them. And it only accounts for 3% of total purchases. So I don't think it's going to be the huge fix. It sounds great, but it's not going to have that much impact. If it was done during his first term, perhaps, and stopped all the buying, that would have been fantastic.
It's a little bit of something. At least it's going to contribute and might slow the cost down a little bit. We know the cost of living is heavy in the States. Obviously, they need help with the interest rates coming down as well. But this is going to obviously slow down some of the demand. Okay, so there's that. And then NVIDIA suspending and China suspending NVIDIA chips again. I mean, remember when they used to ban Bitcoin every 2 weeks? So anyway,
right, it's every other day now. Yeah,
I'm so bored of that. Okay, so here's NVIDIA rejecting 190. Now, interestingly, looking at some of these oscillators, still a little bit bearish. This is in no territory right now for longs. I mean, looking at that, the last time we had that reversal, you can see a drop to the downside over there as well. So again, let's just wait patiently. If you want to be short NVIDIA, the easy stop is a close above 194. Alternatively, let's wait for a long. We'll probably get it down 165 if things start playing out here a little bit to the downside. That is something to watch. Then Tesla, I touched on this for the daily candle yesterday. A little bit of bearish news. NVIDIA has launched open source self-driving or automated driving tech, and that's obviously affected the Tesla situation. And Tesla also looking super bearish on the weekly. Look at that double or single divergence playing out here on the weekly. So if this does start playing out a little bit harder, we're looking for bounce longs 390, 360. So we will deal with that when we have to deal with that. But just remember, keep watching the show. I'll cover all these stocks when it hits these zones. Maybe stick some alarms on. Some of these stocks are slow movers, so it could take a little bit of time, but you can trade these stocks obviously on BTCC with me, and you can also trade them on BitGet as well. They've just had their stocks go live recently. There are links in the description here for you guys for these things. Now, just updating on my current situation, MicroStrategy still absolute dog shit, and Circle just doing its thing. So no chart updates there. Then the great Martis, guys, he's quite a bearish account generally, and he's saying BTC being groomed. I don't know if I like that phrasing for severe sell-off in the not too distant future. He's looking at 50K, give or take. So in terms of what we're watching at the moment right now, my current view is let's just watch this 50-day MA. Okay, here's our 50-day moving average. We've just retested this right now. Again, we don't want to get too bearish until we start losing zones. Okay, so you don't want to base your whole thing on some guy's tweet. You can see there's a rising trend at the moment. We've got our 50-day MA. If we start losing that, then we have a discussion that we're going low. Okay, and remember, my levels are 78 into 75K. Somewhere in that region is going to be interesting there for us. And, any pumps to the upside, 98K, look for shorts. 103, look for shorts. 106 to 108, look for shorts. Okay, that's my simple game plan here at the moment. And just play level by level. We know the market's difficult. We know the market's choppy. And what I can suggest is lots of hedging and TPing. And we could all be better at taking enough profits. How much profits have you been taking, or do you just take screenshots at the moment?
Screenshots. I'm saving a big no, I've been taking a lot of profits. I've been shaving a lot.
I just want a giant cloud database of screenshots of P&Ls, so I can look back and tell my
channel in the Discord
what could have been. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's amazing. Okay. So
how many handbags could this have been?
Jeff says 50K is absolute filth. Well, I happen to agree with that statement. Okay, so guys, let's get into the alts. What is coming today? So what I've got for you here is I've got ETH, I've got Sol, I've got Lit, I've got updates from yesterday. Sui Link hit the zone. XRP, our favorite meme coin, as well. Then I've got things like AAVE, BCH, SPX, 𝗬𝗏, we're updating. ZCash, all the news on ZCash that you need to know. We currently long ZCash. Is that going to push a little bit higher? Hyperliquid, Brett, Ondo. There's so much going on. Panda is locking in some shorts. We're going to try and cover as much as possible for you guys. Okay, so let's jump into that stuff. And let's start moving swiftly along. I'm not going because I've got so many tokens here. We're going to jump relatively quickly through some of them. But important stuff for us to note. I've already asked Panda to look at TAUB, Rats, and CLO, just to see if he can find a couple of shitcoin casino shorts for us. So he is hunting that zone at the moment. Now, in terms of ETH, well, Tom Lee, he staked another 128,000 ETH in the past 5 hours, apparently. Okay, so, but I don't know. He could stake a bag of dicks at the moment. It's not going to really affect the ETH price, in my opinion. But let's see if that is going to work. And in terms of the higher time frame, it looks exactly the same as BTC. There's our 50-day MA. We kind of just want to hold that thing on any dips to the downside. So in terms of the lower time frame stuff, guys, we were looking for 3,040 into about 3,000 yesterday, and now we've dipped into that area. I have grabbed that ETH long, but what I said to the hackers Discord is that we need to be careful. We can't be absolutely max long here, and the reason being is if you look at the ETH chart, we haven't tapped that 50-day MA. It is a concern for me. If you look at the 4-hour, we don't have clear reversal signs yet on the 4-hour either. And what does this mean? It means we could possibly come for a double dip, and that could be even ETH at sub 3K, maybe even a wick down here before we get that pump. So if you are long, be super cautious with how you're operating. Be cautious with your sizing as well, and nothing wrong with a couple of head shorts along the way. Okay, so 3K for now. That's pretty much the line in the sand in terms of support. And let's see if 𝗬𝗏 is going to let me close it this time. Okay, I don't know why this thing keeps freezing here. Let's see. Give me that magic close. I don't know why this is crazy. Not letting me close it. Okay, anyway, Panda, when Panda's showing his chart, we'll deal with it. Okay, I'm starting to panic here. Okay, we got to get this thing closed. Now, Solana from yesterday dropped into the zone. I said 133 to 130, looking for a bounce. Yes, we've got a bounce now on Sol, so nothing has actually changed here. What I would look forward to, or what I would look for tomorrow, leading into any news and things like that, look at that 130. This is your support marker here on Sol. We've got a VWAP. The longer it sits up there, that VWAP just going to climb higher, and that is going to bring in some more confluence for us at around 130. So if you got high leverage trading, well, obviously you can use the current wick, the wick low, 132.6. If you are lower leverage, smaller positions, things like that, you can let this thing ride down. 130 down to about 128 is going to be your base support. That should cater any type of wick, and that will hopefully give us some kind of reversal on this 4-hour here to the downside. Okay, so looking at that one there for Sol, in terms of upside right now, I'm not looking at major targets. I mean, I wouldn't say much more than 140 at best. Remember, we got a big news day tomorrow, and the market is going to be looking to doing some de-risking. Now, in terms of lit, who got lit? Because I don't know, it's so childish, but I keep saying this lit is so lit. And this thing's popped 12% from the entry yesterday. Am I gangster enough if I say lit is lit?
You're lit, man. That was a very lit trade.
Yeah, it's so lit. Okay, so 12% on this puppy. And yeah, I'm sitting in the long. Yeah, I mean, we're at resistance. This is the new shiny object in the market. It's a toss-up at the moment. Do we hold on to this thing? Because we've got targets here, 346 and 380. Guys, it's up to you how you want to play this. Okay, I'm sitting at resistance on lit. If we do get a break, it's going to run. Okay, I think we should get some energy. I have no doubt there's a couple of shorts here sitting in that type of region, and we might squeeze a little bit higher. So I'm going to monitor this one. Obviously, I don't want to do the full round trip, but looking for a pop here on lit 3.45 and 3.8 looking interesting to me. And then looking at Link yesterday, we've dropped into our zone that I gave you, 12.9. That is what we were looking at. You can see we had our 0.5 fib, our 50-day MA. We had cover from the VWAP, and now we've got a 2-hour bullish divergence. So in terms of getting a reaction, yes, we can lock that in. We got a reaction. What are my current concerns? My concerns are big news day tomorrow, and that could mean another flush in the market. We could see a little bit more downside. So what I want you guys just to be aware of, again, we're not in a situation here where you want to be max sizing. What you want to do is pay attention. We could easily double dip here and get those 4-hour resets. So you might see Link do that, bang, later on. Okay, so look out for Link 12.8 is going to be your base that you want to pay attention to. Obviously, if we start losing bigger levels, you're going to have to start prepping for things like 12.5, 12.6. But I'll obviously make sure you guys are covered during the course of tomorrow for these things. Okay, now 𝗬𝗎 as well dropped into our zone. Again, not much more to update. I gave you these levels yesterday. 175. We got the bounce on 𝗬𝗎 here off that 382. Nice horizontal play at the moment. You can see the 4 hour not reset yet. So this is obviously one of my concerns. If we do drop lower, that is going to come with a little bit more pain in the market. So what do? You make sure you have some short hedges running. I definitely wouldn't be closing shorts or all of them. If you picked up some entries 2 days ago, stay in some of those shorts, guys. If you want to play long, play some bounces, but stay in some of those shorts. We could have a little bit more pain. And one of the readings that tells us we could have a little bit more pain, I mean, you cannot get a better reader than this. Panda XRP hasn't hit 2 yet. We are waiting for 2 to get locked in here. And right now it's looking a little bit lonely. So will you even dare touch this thing at 2? I mean,
yes.
Would you go?
I'm just so James does it. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I like how backstage we're saying, "Oh, market is bouncing," and James is like, "Oh, I missed my long on XRP." Like, why are you longing XRP, man?
Yeah, James, don't worry. You're getting your chance. It's coming.
It's coming.
We're gonna get it again. Yeah. Okay, and don't forget the backup banger, guys. 1.9. So if they capitulate us a little bit tomorrow, 1.9. Mark that on your charts. Put your alarms on. That is going to be your backup zone, especially if it happens soon. If it happens quickly, what it does is it doesn't give much time for these 2 hour oscillators to pump much higher. And then you get these quick little resets and you probably print divergence. And then you get an even harder bounce on some of these things. So if you are going to drop, you kind of want it to happen fast, within the next 6 to 12 hours, I would say. And you don't want it too long to run. Okay, now another one from yesterday, 𝗬𝗍 dropped into the bull zone. We've got 2 hour bullish divergence. Have we got a reversal? Yes, we can tick that box. Do we need to be cautious? Yes, we got big news coming tomorrow. Let's see what they come out with. If they kick the can down the road, you probably find the market just grinds higher and starts moving up. If there is a little bit of trauma there in the courtroom, well, then we're probably going to drop and see fresh levels. Okay, so once again, we're in the bull zone. Key support for 𝗬𝗍, I would say, don't get too greedy. Use 156 as your first major support zone. Obviously, if you're trading degen things, you got 160, but 156, guys, that is interesting to me. 2 hour bullish divergence. It's a nice start. Okay, so that is looking decent. And then BCH, yeah, I mean, just messing around at the moment. No commentary on this one. 615 to 600. That is still our current support. Now, we're going to talk about the ZCash news. I'm sure you guys want to know all about that. But I think first, because Panda's sitting so patiently here, let's let the man give us something. Okay, send us to Valhalla or send us to hell. Send us somewhere, bro. Yeah, actually, and then we're going to do some ZCash.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, let me just share my screen real quick. I'm actually, right now, what I'm looking at is I'm not trying to catch shorts right off the bat. I'm actually looking for laggers, some tokens that are lagging behind, because on daily time frame, I'm actually seeing a couple of tokens could be accelerating pretty quick. So I want to look at the laggers. One is Uni. Can you see my screen?
Let's go. Oh, and we got to look at Altcoin, bro. We have to look at
I'll have a look at it. I'll have a look at it just now. Uni, I'm not sure why it's not running, but it's kind of bleeding. It's losing at 618. What did you just long?
I closed tower.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, just real quick, you got a zone coming, macro 786, about 3% away at 5.25, and I'll definitely be nibbling here, like a 2.5% stop loss down to 5.1. You got a 786, you got a bullish block, and if the market starts to move, we should be getting some sort of bounce on Uni here. Another higher conviction, and also, sorry, on the 6 hour, it's almost reversing and should be printing.
Why does Uni look so shit? Why is it not bouncing?
I think some news is going to come in. I don't want to, like, I'm not going to go big on this position, but I've noticed that when the market goes green like this and it rips and you get one of these like L1s and dinosaur alts lagging behind, usually it's followed by some news. So that's why I'm kind of keeping an eye on here. We're losing the 618 now, but we got a 786 coming. And then you got on a higher time frame, a major rising trend, third touch, big daily order block sitting at this would be the equivalent of your high conviction zone on uni here. But this is more of an alarm setting for now. Let's just watch 5.25 down to 5.1, and I would give it a 2-hour close under 5.1.
Okay, look, I like uni. I like a sell-off like this when the rest of the market's bouncing and stuff, and you get this nice red sell-off, and then you get a little squeezy later. So yeah, I like the look of this thing. How are we on the shitcoin casino shorts? How are those things looking there to you? Did anything
CLO? CLO, I'm not touching this right now, but I'm telling you, technically, you are in a short zone literally right now. Resistance 1.786 on the micro. However, don't call me ambitious, but do not fade 1.006, which is about 30% from here. And if what I'm seeing is right and we get this stupid acceleration, I see CLO doing this. But as of now, technically, this is a short. As of now,
I'm going to go super small. I see it's consolidating here at the top. I'm going to go super small here on 𝗻𝗍𝗋𝗋.
Yeah, don't fade a push into here.
Yeah,
that's another about 10%. So I don't want people to get stopped out. But my high conviction, if we are ripping, do not fade these tokens doing another 35%. Pippin did 60% over a day and a half. So,
dude, you know the snake pattern when it does this, got that like snake head. Yeah, it's
this,
doing it now.
And then,
no, on the 30-minute, the CLO, it's got that snake. You know, where it looks like it's gonna explode. But yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So
but I'm waiting for this. I'm just waiting. Let me just show the people what I'm talking about in terms of these God candles that can come in. I'm just waiting on this on the stocks where, you know, we're coming back down and then we put in a lower high over the next day if we're green, followed by a higher high here, but a bearish divergence here on the daily. That's usually the sign where this is where it's going to fully retrace back. So that's something to keep an eye on. As of now,
another 30%. My God, that's a big move.
Take it from me. I've been long and shorting TA and CLO for a while now. Nothing. This is not 25%, 30%, 45% candles. That's nothing. So I'm not saying this is my high ambitious might come in 2 weeks. No, we might see this tomorrow or the day after if we're green. No joke. So just keep your eyes on the psychological level, the $1 mark.
Okay, nice. There you go, guys. Now, are you ready for some Zcash news? Is this all a nothing burger? You know, do we have to be worried about this? I see James in the back. He already
What are we worrying about now? More freedom.
Never worry about. Well, we could always get more freedom and more oil. You know. Okay, so SPX will deal with that just now. That's part one of our win entries. Let's talk about Zcash. The big drama today, guys. Zcash developers exit ECC after board dispute and launch a new company. So on paper, that sounds traumatic. It sounds like the entire dev team left and, you know, there's a big fight and the market obviously starts panicking and Zcash basically got sent to zero. Now, what is actually going on here at the moment? Well, basically, from what I understand, and James, obviously jump in if you're ready, but the dev team has left, but they're still deving Zcash just in another company, if I'm not mistaken. So
they did not like the board that was controlling them. And when I woke up this morning, absolute panic. It was dumping. The dev team has left. It's a rug pull. It's all over. You guys bought the top. You're idiots. Come to find out, all they did was get out from under this board that they had they didn't like, and they're just opened up a new their own company here to do the deving, the same as they've always done. It's just without this board. So it's a total nothing burger.
As you were. Okay, so the privacy narrative continues. The Winklevoss twins, they bought a gazillion Zcash, from 250 to be fair, but they were probably buying some at the top as well. And they must be.
I don't know if they own up. They were trying to get 5% of the supply. I saw that they had hit, I think, at least 3% of the total supply. I'm not sure how far they got, but yeah, they have a ton of it.
Yeah, so look, the Zcash co-founder who's not been involved for a long time says everything is going to be fine. And there's some whales, they went long at 475. They are sweating bullets at the moment. Okay, so they are feeling a little bit of pressure. But in terms of Zcash, I said to the TradeX Discord a couple of hours ago, possible bounce coming here. When you get a FUD sell-off like this, it generally creates a lot of late shorters. Why? Because everyone starts getting smart already, on support when it's fallen over. And then they start shorting and whatever. And now they're obviously going to pay the price. So you can see we've had a big bounce already on Zcash here. We've had a 14% bounce already on this guy. So I missed like the absolute bottom, but I took some of it on Gravity, and you can see I bought there at what did I buy at 406, give or take for ZCash. Okay, so we're a little bit green here. I'm trading this one on Gravity at the moment, and I've got a little BTC long. Remember, I'm trying to farm on Gravity here. If you're trading and stuff, and you're accumulating fees, you're accumulating the possibility of the airdrop and things like that. Similar situation to Lighter, Aster, and Hyperliquid. Okay, so if you want to give that a crack, guys, there is a link in the show description there if you want to trade that with us. Now, what do we do for Zcash going forward? What is interesting? So looking at, how heavily oversold everything is, 2 hour, 4 hour, 8 hour, there could be room to grind a little bit higher. What I would say, guys, is obviously be super careful at key zones. Look at that cluster over there. You see, Panda, I'm using your favorite word, cluster, and 450. Beautiful. You like that, eh? You're getting around. Okay, so look at that, 448 to 450, looking good for a rejection there. So let's see if we get a pump into that zone. That's a possible short there, or short-term short even on Zcash. And then we've got the absolute banger here. Look at this. We've got a 618, an undercarriage at 490. So guys, don't get married to this thing. Look for some rejections here. That's simply going to be a lower high, and maybe this downside then continues a little bit longer. And that's could tie into, a bit of market weakness as well. So 450, 490 possible shorts. Right now, do nothing. If you're not long or short, I would say wait a little bit, let it hit these zones, and then make a call as to how you want to play that. Okay. Now let's talk some of the other bangers here at the moment. Let's look at Hyperliquid again. You guys must think I'm married to Hyperliquid, but I do like this thing. And $80 million of daily net inflows. Okay, you can see this chart here that I found on X must be true, and it's the highest daily inflows at the moment. So James must be believing it at the moment. And in terms of Hyperliquid, what do we do now? We've got 1 hour double bullish divergence prints. We've got two interesting zones here coming into play for us, 26 and 25.5. Are they going to give us the bounce that we are looking at? Okay, so 26 and 25.5, guys, that is still my zone of interest here for hype. I am sitting in a hype long. Ideally, we want to see this 2 hour reset to give us a little bit more confidence that this thing is going to move. So right now, trying to be patient, but you can see hype can deliver on the odd occasion, and I'm looking for some kind of bounce there on those guys. Now remember, all these charts go into the ChartHackers Discord, including Panda's charts that you've seen on the show, and all his other stuff is going down in the ChartHackers Discord for you guys as well. Now I've got a couple of other things, and what I want to share with you is obviously the power of this when entry. Now guys, what is when entry? When entry is it's actually for everybody, but it's definitely going to help the beginner traders, and it's something that I do in the ChartHackers Discord every day after a show. I give a high conviction trade setup that I've put a lot of time thinking about for you guys. It's got an entry, it's got a stop loss, it's got multiple TPs, and you can either set and forget, or you can trade this thing actively. And right now we've got a very strong hit rate in the when entry channel. Okay, so I just want to cover a couple of these for you. We've done 2 when entries this week so far, and so far we've hit SPX has hit TP1 now, and 𝗬𝗯𝗯 obviously has blown through all the TPs at the moment. So that is going down. That is obviously part of being in the ChartHackers Discord, and you can see at the moment, I mean, we got a lot of action in here. So come and jump in. If you want to find out a little bit more about what is going on, come and see what we are up to. Remember, everything we talk about is literally sitting in the show description. So you click on the show. Oh, that was yesterday's show. But you click on the show and you go into more, and you're going to find everything I talk about there in the description for you guys. Okay, including the indicators that you see on the screen every single day. Okay, these indicators that we trade with, they are there every single day. Panda, don't leave me like that, bro. Don't disappear. Okay, let's talk about, do you have any other setups that we could be covering?
Not urgent, but worth putting an alarm. Do you remember Gun?
Give me FartCoin. Give us FartCoin.
I just had a quick look at it. It's kind of no man's land, but I can chart it live if you want, but it will take a couple of minutes.
Okay, well, Panda chart FartCoin, because to be fair, they've been asking for 2 days. Okay, so we're going to give you FartCoin now, a Panda special. Okay, and I'm going to cover 1 or 2 more for you guys, because we've got a few bounces here. And Adil says he missed 𝗬𝗯𝗯. Don't worry, sir. There will be more. Okay, there will be much more. Let's look at a couple of other setups. The Ondo was one today that I dropped in the Discord. I told the guys we were looking for a bounce. Okay, so right now we've got our bounce on Ondo at 399. We got it off a simple 618 and horizontal, and we have printed our 2 hour bullish divergence. So that is obviously looking pretty good for us in terms of where we're sitting at the moment. My only concern, like I mentioned before, for Ondo and the market at the moment is that we've got this big court case hanging over us tomorrow, and there could be some de-risking and things like that. So you might find there's a double dip, okay? And that is essentially why I've closed that 𝗬𝗹𝗻𝗄 position here at the zone as well. We're trying to bank some profits because we can all roll over again, and then we're looking for those 4-hour resets. So just in the back of your mind, just remember there could be a little bit more downside today. So Ondo right now, we've got, call it 40 as your support zone into about 39. That is a reasonable area. I do like the 2-hour bullish divergence. That's obviously always a nice mover for us. Then in terms of looking slightly lower, if we start looking at things like the 4-hour oscillator, you might find we need a second dip to print some kind of double bottom or some kind of divergence on that 4-hour oscillator, and that is naturally going to take us to another banger zone here at 38 on Ondo. Okay, so 38 on Ondo, be ready. If the current 40 region starts failing, your next zone for the degens, 38, we are looking for a bounce there on that guy. And again, it could be 3%, it could be 6%. Let's see what the market throws at us. But these are the typical reaction zones for me that are super interesting. And then another one is pump. And I actually don't know, James, did I cover this one? I'm not actually sure. But I've been sitting in pump, obviously long short for a couple of days.
I don't remember if you did this yesterday or not.
Okay, but just something for you guys to consider. Okay, TA doesn't have to be complicated. You can hear guys using all these types of fancy words and all this type of shit. But at the end of the day, we're drawing lines, we're pulling some fibs, we're looking at some levels, and we're trying in reversals. Okay, there's a simple reversals. And you can see pump, what has pump done? It's dropped into a simple 618 and horizontal pool and given us a nice reaction with a oscillator reversal. It's really simple stuff, and obviously cover it all the time on the show and in the 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃's Discord. But there you go. So there's a nice little bounce on pump here at the moment. I hope I'm still sitting in my pump long position. Let's just see where this thing is at the moment. Where's this thing? There it is. Okay, yeah, so that thing's now coming alive again, and hopefully going to give us a little bit more action there. So pump is cooking, guys. In terms of support for pump, what you're going to be looking at is your 0.204. That is going to be your low for now that you can use. It's a hard enough push at the moment to say, look, there's a high probability if we dip lower, they might give you a second push before they roll this thing over. So that is it's looking better, than some of these other alts that might want to double dip a little bit lower. Okay, and I see you guys are missing the live sessions, and I'm glad. Look, I feel a little bit guilty that I went on vacation, but I needed a break. I was getting a little bit tired. Okay, Panda, give us some thoughts, bro.
Yeah, let's do fart. It's actually kind of interesting. So I'm gonna flip fart on the 6-hour because the 2-hour, the 4-hour are printing reversals. But what's interesting here is we're pushing the previous week high, but we front ran this very important area, 4-hour POC and Monday low. So if we struggle to break this before you put the timer on me, a pullback to the 200 SMA, the 382, the 4-hour POC, and Monday low would actually be a very, very, very interesting pull here. So I'm not interested in what's happening here, but I see fart possibly pulling back 8%, 9% for a proper push into previous week high and claiming that. So that would be around 0.373. Like if I show you the order blocks here,
I get it. Just, I like this is my concern, bro, as well.
You see, it's very chunky in here. Like even on the 4-hour, it's printing reversals, right? And the 2-hour is double printing. But look, we're front running 382 POC and this big block right here. So with these, I tend to just kind of just walk away from trying to sniping the proper entry, and I'll just wait for this pull, because if we're going green, we need to tap this 200 SMA. Like that's any decent token. That's what it would do, right? But yet again, it's called fart coin, and we're talking about respecting levels. But
fundamentally, it's a fucking brilliant, piece of work.
My house is waged on its ledger, sir. So
exactly. Okay, so guys, there you go. Panda's going to drop this in the 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃's Discord for you guys. You can catch it over there. Panda, thank you, sir. You can find this man in the Hackers Discord. What he's committed to this year is he wants to start doing a couple of extra things in the Discord for you guys, from psychology and a couple of advanced breakout strategies. Can you literally pair the word advanced with breakout trading? Well, this man can. Okay, he's going to explain a couple of things there for you guys in the Hackers Discord. You can find him there. Okay, James, thank you, sir. Anything you'd like to part ways with? Anything
Good
you'd
luck,
like?
Everyone. Might be a huge day tomorrow. Might be a total nothing burger. Keep the red shirt on until you know.
There you go. Later, guys.
Good luck.